Hello, loves. This is part 2 of World War I. So, kind of just a recap. Part 1, we had our 3 causes of World War I. I call them not isms. The first one is my country's better than yours. What was that ism? Nationalism, I hope you said. Then, of course, there's the ism where everybody wants more land because they want more resources and more money and more power. What ism is that? Imperialism. And then there's the one where everybody wants to build up their guns and their weapons and their militarism, that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the hardening of alliances. You have the spark that kind of starts the fire, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand by the Serbian nationalist Black Hand Group. Of course, after that, you have Russia come to protect Serbia. Then you have, Germany treated with Austria-Hungary. Then now we have 4 countries in this world war. Then all of a sudden Britain and France and Belgium, and it gets crazy. So with that, we really have a situation on our hands. I think the slide that we're starting with right here is going to be, how does the United States get involved? And if I'm correct, this is where we are. Now, I made sure that you knew this slide was really important. I don't want to spend too much time on it. Let me go ahead and let you get these notes down. Why don't you go, oh, Lord Almighty. Just kidding. Okay, so with that, let me let you get this down. Pause it. Get it down. Pause. All right, so let's talk about this. Number 1 reason. Germany's unrestricted submarine warfare. Sinking of the, and I need you to make a big old circle right here on Lusitania. Okay, Lusitania. Now, unrestricted submarine warfare. A lot of the times you're going to see submarines in some test questions called U-boats. U as in underwater. Okay. Actually, the Germans called them Untersee boats. Imagine that. But underwater boats. This is the first time we're really going to see unrestricted submarine warfare. I always think about number 1 reason we get involved, the unrestricted submarine warfare and the sinking of Lusitania. I want you to make sure you know the Lusitania is a passenger ship. Out here, right? Passenger ship or civilians. Number 1 thing you can do to make us mad, besides mess with our money, is to kill our civilians, and that'll get our attention. It's kind of like 9/11 situation on a smaller scale. The other thing I have, unrestricted submarine warfare, is the sinking of 4 merchant ships. Merchant meaning goods. That means you messed with my money. That gets my attention. Those two kind of go together, numbers 1 and 3. The one that is kind of interesting, actually it's very interesting, and this is called the Zimmerman telegram. When you watch John Green's Cash Course, he's going to really talk about this too, but the Zimmerman telegram, make sure out here over to the right when you wrote it down, Zimmerman telegram is entirely Germany telegramming Mexico. And listen to this. They said, hey, if you help us, if you join the war on the side of us, then we'll give you access to Texas and we'll give you access to California and all this kind of stuff like that. But get this, they did this before the United States was in the war. So Germany told Mexico they could have our land back. Well, actually, it's their land that we took from them in the Mexican-American War. And Germany's going to give that to them before we're even in the war. Does that tell you where Germany's coming next? That's right, us. So those 3 things put together, and I can't stress the importance that you memorize these 3 things, are going to lead to the U.S. declaring war on Germany April 6, 1917. 1 year left in the war, we'll clean up. Here's the Daily Missourian, U.S. officially at war, drafting of army to affect students, guards to mobilize in Nevada, Wilson signs resolution. I am telling you right now, a war back then is completely different than a war now. Everybody joined the war, and we'll really talk about that as well. That's a good question if you want to take time to look at it. Now, the one thing I really want to make sure we know is modern war. Like, what does a modern war mean? First thing I want you to circle modern right here. Modern. That means today, now, modern technology. Yes? So pause this, get this slide down. Pause. Okay, now let's talk about it. Okay, so with that, submarine warfare used to get around blockades and attack enemy shipping. Massively important. We've talked about undersea boats, underwater boats, submarines. It's one of the first times they use them a lot. Rapid fire machine guns. Circle the word rapid. We're talking 500 bullets in 1 minute. You could literally cut a tree down with your bullets, okay? Now with that, that's going to lead to a lot of casualties. It's not your Oh, I'm going to slowly load my gunpowder and my musket ball, and I'm going to... Oh, you're already dead. This is, I'm going to stick this rapid fire machine gun outside of the trench or ditch that I've dug for protection and just fire as many things as I can into the no man's land. Trench warfare, big old bracket right here. 6,000 miles of trenches. In between land was no man's land, meaning if you're there, I'm going to be honest with you, you're dead. Lines were never moved, resulting in I like this word right here, circle it, stalemate. Stalemate means when we don't move. Something's gone stale, you guys know that. Tanks, break through barbed wire, massively important. One of the first times we see tanks. Here's a good one, airplanes. First time we really see airplanes. They actually, if you want to write dog fights, the most famous German, you may have learned about him in world history, was the Red Baron. Oh my God, but the thing that makes me sick to my stomach, especially because I'm a military brat, my brother serves overseas, is the idea that the Germans were the first one to introduce poison gas. Ugly, unbelievable stuff. I'll show you some pictures in just a second. Massively disgusting. So make sure you get down by poison gas, the two gases they specifically had, and this could come up on a test. Chlorine and mustard gas is going to be World War I. Here's some pictures of just kind of the uniforms. We called the soldiers doughboys, just so you know. The trench boots, this trench warfare, I'm going to get to some pictures in a second. It was nasty stuff, so they're going to need some stuff to combat that. But kind of interesting here, just doughboy outfits. Now, some of the pictures from World War I, the modern technology. Remember, here's your airplanes. You've got your launchers. This is going to be fun. We're going to talk about this in classes. This is called a howitzer. Launches a shell over 9-10 miles. This picture right here tells the story of gas. Gas mask, gas mask. The freaking donkey even has a gas mask. But I am not kidding you. Once you see what it does to your face, you'll understand why they wore the masks. Now, this is trench foot. These are the trenches. Now, a lot of the times water would build up, nasty, lice. I don't even have the words. It's absolutely horrifying. Gas masks again, rapid fire machine guns. That's the kind of technology we're looking for here. Now, with that, let's go on to the next slide. I don't want to make these notes too long. We're going to talk a little bit about it in class, but you're responsible for your notes. Named commander of the American Expeditionary Force, AEF, circle that AEF, in World War I by Woodrow Wilson is going to be a guy named, here he is, John Blackjack Pershing. Massively important. You know this guy. He's an EOC tested general. Insisted that U.S. soldiers fight as a unit, could not be spread throughout French forces, led the forces at the Battle of Argonne Forest. He is important. John Blackjack Pershing. Only general you need to know for World War I. There's going to be like 7 you need to know for World War II, so take advantage of this single one. Pershing made a contribution in the Allied victory by developing, reading. What's the answer? A. Now, the home front. Oh, this is an important one. Oh my gosh, star this. The home front. First thing I want you to do is circle home front. Actually, I think I did that for you. What is this? This is literally American home soil. Are we clear? American home soil. So with that, back then in these days, when we went to war, it wasn't just like, my family member is going to go over and fight the war, and then maybe they'll come back and I will, maybe see an increase in gas prices every once in a while. No, the entire country used to fight wars. I wonder if sometimes it would be better if it was that way in this day and age. Maybe we would think about it more often. But with that, there are 4 things in particular you need to know that we did on the home front to help during World War I. And we're going to talk about them a ton, but I need to make sure you get them down. So pause it, get these notes down. Pause. Okay, let's talk about them. The first thing you should have written down was selective service. 2.8 million. Oh, and here it is. Selective service is basically what did I make red? The draft. Hope you guys understand what a draft is. It's not a reality in this day and age, but a draft literally is when you turn 18, you register with the selective service if you're male, and you can be drafted if you have to be drafted for a military operation to protect America. It hasn't happened because the last time it happened, it was a little thing called Vietnam, didn't go so well. So the draft's pretty much over now, but during World War I, 2.8 million men were drafted. Next thing is War Industries Board. I also put it called the Creel Committee. Sometimes they refer to it that way. You might want to make sure you get that down. Coordinate production of war materials. I wrote out beside here. You might want to make sure you know what it is. advertisements wanting you to feel something. It's a little thing called propaganda. There you go. So make sure you know that. We're going to look at some propaganda in a second. The next thing, and I love this, daylight savings time. That's an interesting one. Completely unique to World War I. This is when we start taking and putting daylight savings time. It's actually an idea by Benjamin Franklin, but we won't institute until World War I because we want it to be where it is light longer in the day so we use less electricity. The entire idea here is the fact that if we save electricity, we save money, therefore the money can go to the war. Which leads me to my next thing, bonds. Make that S a dollar sign for me. Big old dollar sign, because here's what a bond is. You literally take your savings. I have a $300 in the bank. My husband's away fighting at war. And what I do is I give that $300 to the United States government. They give me a bond for $300. And then they use my money to fight the war to bring my husband home faster and safer to me. And then at the end of the war, I give them their bond paper back. They give me my money back, sometimes with interest. So pretty interesting to take a look at that. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some propaganda real quick, and then I'll go back to those other ones. Here's just some propaganda, and we're going to probably look a lot. You buy a Liberty bond, Lady Liberty, lest I perish. So if you want liberty to be around, buy a what? Bond. Then help crush the menace of the seas. Look at the Germans. Look how ugly they look. It says defeat the Kaiser and his what? U-boats? Untersea boats? Be patriotic. Save food. Remember, if you save food, then they can use it in the war, or they can take those resources. Here's a woman right here. Destroy this mad brute. This German here. You notice the German hat. He's, carrying this woman, and he's literally coming onto American soil. He's going to beat you. Yes? So that's the kind of idea there. These are actually Mr. Riesenberg. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a teacher on our campus. His grandfather was the artist here. So those are the ideas there. So make sure you get that idea down. Now this is going to be your next slide. I've only got about 2 more minutes, so I think I've got enough time to get Scheck v. United States. Now Scheck v. United States, anytime you see a versus, you're talking about what? That's right, a court case. Now here's what we got going on here. This court case came around during World War I, December 20th, 1917. Circle that. This guy named Charles Scheck, circle that, was convicted in a federal district court for violating the Espionage Act. Here's what I want. I want you to take and I want you to circle Espionage Act. I want you to put a little arrow out beside it over here. And I want you to make sure you put, literally, it was where you could not speak out against the government. You cannot be committed, supposedly, of spying. But here's what Charles Scheck said. You see this voice right here? Don't register for the, what? Draft, the Selective Service. And specifically, this gets him thrown in jail. Well, he sues back the United States, Scheck v. United States. And he says, I have the right to say this. What amendment gives him the right to say this? What are you saying? What number are you saying? Did you say 1? I hope you said 1. Okay, the First Amendment, freedom of speech. So with that, he sues and he says, I can say this if I want to say this. Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, the Chief Justice that said, at times of war, no American has the right to speak or publish with the intent of obstructing justice. You say this, you could stop the war effort. And that's not what we want. So basically what it comes down to, and here's exactly what it says. Speech can be limited if it presents a clear and present danger, similar to yelling, fire, in a crowded theater. You yell fire, they rush to the door, somebody tramples, gets hurt, possibly dies. You don't have the right to put their life in danger. What it comes down to is at times of war, the First Amendment is not absolute. And think back, didn't Lincoln take and suspend the writ of habeas corpus during the Civil War to make sure there weren't spies? Think to World War II. I don't know if some of y'all know this, but FDR takes and throws Japanese in internment camps because he's afraid they're spies. Completely, not a concentration camp. He doesn't kill them, but he deprives them of liberties. Very important to know this stuff. So this is the second part of the notes. We will continue with the third part of the notes, but make sure you're understanding this stuff because, man, it is important. This one in particular. In fact, I'll finish it out with, there you go. Here is a released EOC question over the Espionage Act of 1918. I hope you get the right answer. Y'all are awesome. See it? Do you see the right answer?